Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pull Up with Limbs and Things. My name is Dr. Chanel James, and I am the owner of Limbs and Things, mobile and telehealth physical therapy practice. Our goal is to help you move from I can't to I can, and we serve aging adults in DC, in Maryland, and in Virginia. Tonight on Pull Up with Limbs and Things, we are talking to Dr. Christopher Gaskins, and we are talking occupational therapy and physical therapy and the neurologic rehabilitation questions. We're trying to answer some of those things for you tonight. So, always with Pull Up with Limbs and Things, we are wanting to help you confirm something you know, challenge something you don't know, and give you the opportunity to share this information with someone else. Dr. Gaskins, welcome to Pull Up with Limbs and Things. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Glad to be here. Hello,
Good.
everyone, and thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.
Absolutely, of course. So, there are a lot of times as a mobile therapist or just an entrepreneur in general that we tend to not talk to other people. You're kind of isolated in your own little space. So it's great to be able to meet you and to be able to cultivate a relationship where we can share information about joint patients as well as those that we can't serve and that will be possibly better served with occupational therapy or physical therapy separately.
hmm
So I'm glad to have met you. I'm glad to have you on tonight.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about NeuroSuite.
Yeah, sure. So, Neuro Suite started in 2019, like right before COVID,
Yeah.
and like several different things happened to make me push forward and do Neuro Suite. But just to name a few, it was kind of like a cauldron of many things. But for one, I was in the middle of my PhD program, and as you
Mhm.
know, PhD students don't get paid a lot. So, like, okay, if I want to get married and have a family, I gotta, still keep some income going. But then, more importantly, I saw there was just a gap. So, a lot of times I think about rehab and independent practices. If I think about OT, I see like a lot of great pediatric independent practices. And a lot of times I think about PT, which to me I feel like are more settled, like in the entrepreneurship or independent practice space. It's
True.
like a lot of ortho clinics and like pediatric clinics, like you name it. But for neuro, there's a gap. And being that, for example, stroke is like the number one leading cause of long-term disability, I believe,
Yes.
in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there were not like a lot of neuro specialists. So even like on our website, NeuroSuite, that's the first thing you see. Like you deserve a neuro rehab specialist. So we stand in on that idea. And then also we believe in providing outpatient neuro occupational therapy care in the comfort of the client's homes and communities, because we think that there's intrinsic value of doing the work at home. You're familiar
Mm-hmm.
with your home. That's what's meaningful and salient to you. You have your favorite mug. You want to go up your stairs, like to make sure you can do it, safely, or go to your closet, whatever it may be. So, again, we just take value in doing the work in the home because we think that most benefits the client.
That's true. That's kind of my reasoning for starting Limbs and Things too. There's just to me there was a gap between when you get out of the hospital, you go to a rehab facility, but then
hmm
you get back home, and then the person is like, "Well, what happened in rehab didn't necessarily translate to what's happening in my house."
Yeah.
So definitely that gap is needed to be filled. So tell us a little bit about occupational therapy. A lot of times, in the generation that we serve, some of them may think, well, I don't have a job. I don't need an occupational therapist. I'm retired. I don't work anymore. I don't even have a desire to do things around the house. So why would I need an occupational
I'm laughing because yeah, we get that a lot. Or
therapist?
man, there are times we work with a patient for like a solid 3, 4, or 5 months, and they'll introduce us and they're like, "Yeah, my PT," and I'm like, "How? Like we've been
And
using
the
the
PT is the
reacher,
nurse.
the long handle shoehorn. We've been doing like bathing. How? Like what's
Right.
going on?"
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But OT, I mean, a lot of ways to describe it, but this idea of occupation, the way I see it, is things that are meaningful to us that we do on a day-to-day basis to function. It could be something
Mm-hmm.
as simple as brushing your teeth, to something as complicated as returning, to your work, or if you're a child, be able to, play, or or even engage like in your hobbies. So
Mm-hmm.
we take an invested focus on those things, and we look at your diagnosis, and we try to help you, do those things better. And that can be done various ways, whether it's just what we call task specific training, like just working with you on doing that task or that activity over and over until like you improve your skills. More of a compensatory approach where we might use adaptive equipment, like if you have issues reaching, we might use like a reacher. Issues put on your sock, we put on a sock aid. If you have cognitive issues, which I think a lot of times is under recognized with OTs and the value
Mm-hmm.
that we bring for cognitive rehab. But if you have problems even managing your schedule, we can help you do that. I just spent my last session with my patient, my morning patient on Friday, teaching him how to use his iPhone calendar to
Yeah.
sync with his wife, teaching him
Mm-hmm.
how to use like his reminder app to create a grocery list so he can go out and get the groceries and cook.
Yeah.
Even teaching him how to use AI to
That's
help even
cool.
think of recipes. So yeah, I think those are things that we do. And I think there's a lot of value for like a lot of clients. But I just think OT's got to continue to do a good job of promoting and articulating what we do to kind of satisfy that need.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of overlap, I think, between OT and PT in terms of what we do. Like everybody tends to think, oh, OT is only upper body and PT is mainly
Hmm.
lower body, right? But that's not all that we do. And I'm glad that you mentioned the cognitive piece because there are a lot of patients that I have, and I'm like, well, I can give a little bit about how we can, maybe dual task things or make it so that you are trying to remember the steps to walking or remember the steps to standing up. Um, but having an occupational therapist there to teach you some more of those deeper cognitive strategies, I think is
Yeah, the
really important.
magic. Yeah, the magic
Yeah.
is in the collaboration. I've had several clients. I think of one in particular. One of my clients that was living with MS, and
Mm,
she's a little antisocial. Don't like working with a lot of people, but she took a liking to me. And really, I mean, she needed like OT brought value, but she really needed PT to rework on that gait lower body strength. And I was same thing with her. It's like, sure, like as an OT, yeah, we'll do some like functional mobility gait training work or lower extremity, work, but the
mm,
specialists
yeah.
are the PTs. I'm like, I have this PT over here I want to refer you to.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's key to it's overlap between OTs, PTs, speech therapists. But it's beautiful like when we all can collaborate and work together with the client.
Absolutely. So I know we talk generally OT and PT, but tell us a little bit specifically about what NeuroSuite does that's different from, say, a general occupational therapist.
Yep. So like I said before, if you go to our website, we say you deserve a neuro specialist. We are neuro specialists. That's how we represent ourselves and carry ourselves. So just with context, my most of my clinical experience is pretty diverse, but the passion really came with neuro. So I worked as an outpatient neuro OT, lead inpatient TBI OT. So a lot of experience there. But then also I'm I'm a neuroscientist. So I have my PhD in neuroscience and cognitive science, and my research is really based upon what we call cognitive motor functioning. So throughout the threads of NeuroSuite or throughout the synapses, I'm being a little nerd right now. Synapses are the connections between neurons, but throughout the
Mhm.
synapses of NeuroSuite, like yeah, neuroscience is embedded in that, and evidence-based treatment is embedded in that, and then additionally, when appropriate, technology is also embedded in that.
Mhm.
I mean, a personal note, I love technology, but then two, I just believe in leveraging tools out there and then utilizing them. And I see where clients don't have the proper guidance and they go on Amazon, they become Amazon warriors and they buy stuff, lots of stuff.
Yes, and then they want you to
And
put it together.
yeah, they don't, yeah, then they use it one time,
Hmm.
it not proper training, they discard it. And also what happens, I think we have to be aware of too, is like sometimes these rehabilitation companies that have products, they will approach the client and say, hey, like, yeah, you're great candidate for this device, and
Hmm.
sometimes you might be, but because that company's only focused on their single product, they don't have a good awareness of all the other products out there, and maybe the best product is not being delivered to the client. So we at NeuroSleep, we pride ourselves on, being very familiar with the various technology out there, whether that be a, dynamic resting hand splint, or even like a
Mhm.
robotic, exoskeleton, you name it. And so that we're able to, and we have relationships with all these companies so that we're able to quickly, if the patient's appropriate, get them through the process to get one of those devices and then appropriately train them. So I think those are things that really set us apart. But really, again, we operate as neuro specialists. All of the therapists on the team as of now, all of us have at least one advanced neuro
Great.
certification.
Hmm.
So that we can deliver that good care.
That's great. So we have Miss Jackie Smith that said she's here. Hello, hello.
Hello.
And Brandon, hello, hello. Okay, if you have a question or a comment that you want to ask either Dr. Gaskins or myself, you can put it in the chat and we'll respond to it. Let's talk a little bit about neuro cases like we're talking to our grandmother or something like that. So, a lot of us tend to say, oh, neuro, ain't nothing wrong with me, and they could be the person that has neuropathy. They could be the person that potentially has high blood pressure or a combination of those things that can lead to a stroke diagnosis. And then that person could possibly have what they consider mini strokes, and they still need some strategies about what to do and who to best help them. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I mean, I would guide them from this concept of saying, "Oh, nothing's wrong with me," to, "Is there anything that you feel like you can do better? Is there anything
Yeah.
that you
Mhm,
enjoy that's
mhm.
important to you that you feel like you could do a little bit better? Maybe you can't stand up, quite long as you used to, like when you're making like your favorite omelet, or maybe you grunting a little bit when you try to stand up from the toilet because it's kind of hard to get up.
Yeah.
Maybe your garden might not be, turning like a little bit brown because you're not able to get out there and get that water hose and water.
Hmm.
So that's what we typically do when we do get this, presentation that, oh, there's nothing wrong. Um, Again, is there anything in life that you're doing that you feel like can be a little bit better? And those
That's
are
a great
things that
way
we
to think
might
of
be able to step in and definitely help with. So, for that person, like, with neuropathy, like we were talking about it earlier, like, is there, one, are you teamed up with the proper like neurologist or medical team to get the care you
it.
need?
Yeah.
For safety, we don't want you to hurt yourself or burn yourself. What can we do, like, to increase like your, like your awareness? If you had like a mini stroke, and maybe you have minimal deficits, maybe they resolve.
Hmm.
Can there be lifestyle change we can implement now? Because we all know that science shows that once you've had that, TIA or transient ischemic attack or mini stroke, you're more than likely to have a more severe stroke. So, can we work with you on getting you on a steady exercise routine? Can we link up with a nutritionist to maybe pick out proper meals, and then in OT we come cook with you?
Hmm.
But yeah, that's what we typically do, or conversations that
Great.
we have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that continuity of care that people tend to miss out on. And the fact that you can refer to other people who can help that person stay safe at home or, live a higher
Mhm.
quality of life because that's really what it's all about.
Yes, a
Okay,
team.
so exactly. Tell us a little bit about how to connect with you if we are interested in having OT come to us.
Yeah. So the best thing is contact us at the welcome team at Rehab. And then once you contact us from there, we'll engage like in a brief phone conversation. We'll really try to better understand your goals and see how we can support. And then from there, we have a pretty seamless onboarding process. And yeah, we try to get out and come to your home as soon as we can. We also do telehealth as well, but that's typically the process. Informally, if you still want to learn more about NeuroSuite, definitely check out like our link tree, where you can see our social media, our past podcasts, all that good stuff. And then professionally, if you want to link with us, you can also just check us out on LinkedIn. Pretty active there.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your background. Where'd you go to OT
Oh
school?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got my beginnings at University of South Carolina. Go
Okay.
Gamecocks. We're playing today next 45 minutes.
Get off, gotta get off.
Ranked number 10 in the country. No flex though. But yeah, that's where I went for undergrad. Majored in exercise science. Good experience, strong academic background, I think there. Originally from South Carolina. And then from there I went to Howard University, which is it's important for me to briefly tell this story, but like Howard was the only OT school that accepted me.
Ah,
I
gotcha.
got I got a lot of rejection letters, and I mean I wasn't a bad student at University of South Carolina. I was just average. I mean
Yeah.
I think I maybe just squeaked by with a 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
Science GPA was low, but yeah, Howard University was always school that accepted me. Um, but I made it worthwhile. So yeah, I had a great experience there, and was blessed to work at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center from
Yeah.
2011 to 2017, where just just really developed my love for like neuro and how I like to approach like patient care. And then out of that experience, and working with some very challenging clients that had brain injury, I
Mm-hmm.
want to know like what can I do to give better care, because I felt like some of those clients we could have done better by. So that's what pushed me to become a neuroscientist. So yeah,
That's
that's kind of
cool.
my background, my story. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like it was all meant to be. You didn't have to figure out which school because Howard let you know they're the one, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I got my PhD from University of Maryland, College Park.
Awesome.
So go
Okay.
Terps. Yeah.
You have a question here. Let's see. What's the most effective collaboration you've had with another discipline in neuro rehab?
Mm, I've had some great ones. I'm gonna have to think about that one because I have a lot. Let's see. Reflect.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely goes back to my time like at Walter Reed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Um, there's a lot of stories, but definitely pairing with PT with a brain injury client, and just gonna work on attentional skills as an OT. The PT working on gait skills, lower body strengthening, and that for eventually turn to fruition as far as community outings. So being able to go to the grocery store, restaurants, like you name it. That's just, I mean, that's like the creme de la creme, like of OT, like really seeing how somebody does out in the community. So
Mm-hmm.
that was definitely very powerful, I think. Let me see if there is there any other ones. That one's probably sticks out to me the most, I would say. I mean, there's I probably can't even count. There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with other clients, again, probably just pairing like with PT. Another guy, okay, I remember. Unfortunately, I think he was in coming back from the conflict in Afghanistan, so he's a active duty. But since he got injured in battle, I think he maybe got shot in the head, unfortunately. But obviously, serious penetrating TBI.
Mm-hmm.
But it significantly like affected like his behavior, like in just how he was engaging with his family. Um, so we even like took him out in the community to like kind of prepare him for like the steps to like go out on a date, which I
Nice.
thought was great. Now it's coming back to me. I go on and on. You opened up something here. Another this is the last one though. But another patient, similar thing. Yeah, um, significant PTSD and spinal cord injury. Um, but with her, it was she had significant PTSD. So just the fear of just getting out in the community,
Mm-hmm.
and then seeing anyone that might have had like on like a turban or might seem like they're of Middle Eastern like culture, that would just really trigger her. So just working through that collectively with the speech therapist to work on cognition, working with the psychologist to just kind of work on how to kind of cope with PTSD, um, the PT for mobility work, and then me was working a lot on functional skills to help um, serve as a compensatory strategy for that PTSD. So like we had like our kind of like a relaxation kit, like her
Mhm.
favorite song she could listen to, like something that she could squeeze and kind of self-stim or calm herself.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean those are songs that kind of come out the top, but I think that's my experience during that time is why now I seek, like you, Dr. Chanel, like I seek community so much,
Hmm.
because I want to wrap care around that client.
I understand. I have an example too. There was a gentleman who he was in a motor vehicle accident, thrown
Hmm.
from a motorcycle, had a
Hmm.
head injury, road rash, a lot of wound care that we had to do as PT. But he had ended up with a traumatic brain injury, and he had an ICP bolt out of his head.
Wow.
That was kind of traumatic just to observe. But
Right.
he was able, or we were able to work together, OT and PT, to help him get up, be able to tolerate sitting up, even with the bolt in his head, and being able to go to the shower with a shower chair and train his family on how to transition from hospital setting back to home. And he came back, was walking, talking, and telling everybody, thank you so much for all
Wow.
the help that you had given him. And he was there for a very long time. But
Right.
the fact that I was still there and he was able to come back and share that experience is one that I'll never forget. So
Oh, I believe it.
definitely the collaboration between disciplines helped to make that story a reality for him.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so we got another question. Let's see. What's the hardest thing to teach families about recovery, and how do you actually get through to them?
Ooh, man.
Everybody's different, right?
Yeah. Nah, I'm gonna say there's a single thread that I see, and it's the single hardest thing to teach families about recovery is establishing a good routine of well-being. Establish a proper routine of like health promotion and moving your body or doing the things that OT or PT has recommended. That just point blank period full stop for me has been it. I could say a lot on this, but that's challenging. But I would argue is probably the most important thing because like we typically see clients maybe twice a week, sometimes three,
Hmm.
not too much, but it's not enough to
No.
me. It's just not enough. If you think about a athlete, I mean, they're not in the gym or training like 2 hours a day. Um, it's like their lifestyle. And I'm sensitive to saying that because I understand the devastation of a, serious brain injury or neurological injury. You may not have the endurance to engage in like that much activity.
Hmm.
But again, it harks back to like, making things functional. It's not for me, my approach is not even about going to a gym or something like that. Your gym is your home. So teaching those clients and those caregivers that the most important therapy happens when we're not in the room. When the
Oh,
therapist
that is so
leaves,
true. Yeah.
that's when the real magic happens.
Hmm.
And you have to, if you really want to see sustained change, you have to like take those things in therapy and apply them in the home. Like, so, we're training on you bringing food to mouth. Like, spend some time and grab that fork. Try to bring it to your mouth on your own.
Mm.
Do your stretches, do your home activity or home exercise program. We call ours HAPs or HAPs, home
Hmm.
activity program.
Okay.
But yeah, you have to do it. We have a philosophy called the full circle philosophy,
Hmm.
and if you imagine like your well-being as a complete circle that's completely full, when you do your therapy sessions, your circle's only halfway full. But when you know, do things outside of therapy and your therapy becomes like your lifestyle, like you literally
Yep.
change your lifestyle to have more a healthier regimen through activity, then that circle is full and you're gonna have like the best outcome. So we're always trying to get clients to that full circle kind of like idea. But that's the most challenging thing to teach. 'Cause I haven't figured out yet. We're doing better, but it's something I would love to even do more research on.
Yeah. I would say it's not even therapy related. It's just letting people know that sometimes it's just gradual and
Hmm.
it'll happen.
Oh
and it
yeah.
happens with this person. Everybody's on a different time frame, and a lot of us have the comparison factor. We know a friend
Yeah.
down the street with the same thing, or we know someone in our family that had the same thing, and we think that we should all accelerate at the same level. That
That's
doesn't
true.
happen. So
Yep.
that's that's what I would say, because we're all wanting to get better faster. But like you said, with the full circle philosophy, if we are remembering that it's not just the time you're in therapy, you got to keep doing it, make it part of your lifestyle, then you'll get there sooner if you keep
You
working
have
at
to.
it. Yep.
Yep. Good
Okay.
question.
Here's another one. It says, "What is the most overrated technique in neuro rehab?"
Mm. It's interesting. There's a good conversation a couple weeks ago with the founder of Sabo,
Mm,
and essentially the conversation was on like weight bearing, and that essentially like when comparing to other evidence based techniques like task specific training or
mhm,
functional electrical stimulation, like it doesn't fully rank up there. So that technique was argued to be like this verbiage wasn't used, but that could be considered like an overrated technique because like a lot of science maybe doesn't fully like show the value in it.
mhm,
Or even like neurodevelopmental training, like there's a big study that came out to show that task specific training is superior to it. um I'm not gonna use a strong term such as overrated because I mean, a little contrarian here, but I do believe that if used in conjunction with other things, it can be effective. And I think sometimes, even though there might be a message out there that something's not as effective, sometimes I think the research just hasn't figured out how to capture the value yet.
mhm.
And I say that carefully, but yes, I won't use the language of overrated, but I'll say those two techniques to me still have value, but they should not overshadow those strongly evidence-based techniques. And then also, it's important to use within proper context,
Mhm.
and in conjunction with other strategies. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I think is overrated? Uh, and something might come to my head later, but I'll just stop there. Yeah.
Okay, I agree. A lot of times when we combine things, and depending on the person, a lot of these researchers, in studies and things like that, they can't look at everybody, and they only have to do a certain sample size, and things of that nature. They may not have you in mind, and you may be a little different. And if you combine these two things, and or more than those two things, you can get the same result with that person.
Yeah. Oh, I got one. It's actually a trigger for me. I, I remember I told one of my students, I was like, I better not ever see you use any cones or pegs in our therapy sessions. But
Oh,
but
huh.
not, I could see the value for PT though, for especially like gait training and balance training. But as far as OTs, yeah, I mean, if y'all doing a full out like session with yeah, cones or like pegs and it's an adult. Yeah, I think that's overrated. Yeah, I think that's overrated.
Yeah,
I
that's what
say
I saw
use
a
something
lot of
functional.
in rehab.
Yeah, I'm calling it out. I say use something functional. Grab a cup, grab a pen, grab a spoon.
I get
Um,
it.
yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
I'll say that.
Okay. Here's another one. What are the early red flags you look for that suggest that a patient might plateau?
Yep, goes back to that question earlier. Non-compliance with that home activity program. So
Mhm.
you not committing to doing the work like once we leave.
Yep.
Also, which can be challenging, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
the
Wait,
will
good
to
desire. Right.
and it's multifaceted. That will can be affected by many things. I mean, literally, your brain injury literally might impact that area where you just might not have the motivation.
Hmm.
Um, but then also, like, if that caregiver's not around to support them, they might be more likely to plateau, might lose like motivation. Um, But yeah, that the will is key. Just that will to keep, you know, working. Then
Hmm.
also how hard you push yourself. You know, it's challenging. I mean, especially like, sometimes like working with the upper limb, because at NeuroSuite, we look at the entire body, but we do tend to specialize in the upper limb. I mean, we work on those clients and the arms are, the arms and fingers and hands is not moving like at all, or just very little. And it's hard like trying to get that initial like movement. But sometimes it just takes a lot of mental focus and concentration. It's like a lot of effort. I mean, you have
Absolutely.
to like really go. Like, don't start a little bit and then just kind of quit. You have to really go. But yeah, when I see issues with the will to actually, engage and like kind of do the work, that can be a sign of plateau. Um, that's usually like, I won't say a red flag, because again, it could be due to different reasons. Just could be a
Hmm.
reflection of the brain injury. But that's usually like obvious sign. And then also like just non compliance. And then sometimes it's us. Well, not even sometimes. A lot of times it's us. Like a lot of times I've gotten too generic with the approach and need to mix things up.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's multifaceted, but that's what I would say.
That's true. And I like that you mentioned that because sometimes we tend to think it's just the other person, but I find that a lot of times when you come in and you ask the person, okay, what was hard today? What was difficult for you to do? And you work on that, that takes their whole desire to want to do it up a notch. And then they work just a little bit harder to
Yeah.
make the functional task demand.
Yep. Good question.
Okay, here's one more from this person. It says, what's your most unpopular opinion about neuro recovery?
That's a good question. Unpopular opinion. Um, I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if I have an unpopular opinion. Uh, it's just I have bold. I have bold opinion. I guess I have a bold opinion, but
Okay.
again, I've seen a client twice a week, 3 times a week. It's not enough. So, yeah, my opinion of, I guess, like insurance and just the way healthcare is structured.
Mm,
I don't think it's structured in a way to really maximize somebody's function. And what something I don't like too is, and this is a bold opinion, but yeah, I also feel like sometimes healthcare just focus on getting somebody home and just making sure somebody stays alive. But like, how do we get you to actually living and thriving again?
yeah.
Like, I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and it was solid advice, but I was trying to initiate the process to get a client a wheelchair, and then my introductory, you know, language introducing the client to, this wheelchair provider.
Hmm.
I mentioned like the importance of a wheelchair use to go to church again, because this woman is a spiritual woman. She has not been to church in years. And I mean, she tears up when we even mention, when we asked her, "Oh, would you like to go to church again?" Like,
Hmm.
sure, we need a wheelchair for in-home mobility, but that's what's important. I mean, that is means everything to her. But
Right.
I mean, I was educated, and I mean, I get it. But that when writing these justification letters for like this wheelchair, like if you mention like, goals that involve the community, you possibly might be, more likely to get like a denial.
Right.
And I mean, I got strong words for that. I mean, that is just, it's unfortunate.
It is. It is.
So yeah, I have a problem with health. I mean, like, we need to think larger. Like, it's not about just staying alive. Like, you need to live again, do the things you love again. I
Mhm.
mean, gardening, I mean, it depends. I mean, gardening is just as important, like, as like getting up from the toilet, like, depending upon the person.
Right.
So yeah, I just really wish we had a broader focus, which I feel like other countries, like, do. Um, but yeah, especially like there's some, like China, for example. I've seen like a lot of good things on how their elderly age gracefully. They age like in a communal state.
Right. Right.
And I just,
Hmm.
yeah, I think we need to learn a lot from them. So that's my unpopular opinion
I like it, and I totally understand it. It's true.
Yeah.
A lot of the people we see, like even in PT, when you get to a certain distance that you can walk, even though the goal for that person is to be able to community walk or to be able to return to something they were doing before, like say they were grocery shopping, but they were also walking the track, or they were doing these things without stopping, or to the point where they weren't so out of breath. They didn't have these extra symptoms like their neuropathy wasn't flaring up. All of those things we don't necessarily consider, or people don't necessarily consider that insurance may limit.
Yeah, that's a very frustrating point for me. Like, I don't like to dive into, sometimes policy and politics and bureaucracy,
Mm-hmm.
but that's something I'm fired up enough about that I probably would try to like shake things up. So, well, who
Yep.
knows?
I get it. I get it. Well, I appreciate all that you shared. Let's talk a little bit about neuro cases because we've talked a little bit about um, traumatic brain injury. We've hit on stroke. Um, just so people know diagnoses and situations, because sometimes it's situations, not necessarily the diagnosis that the person has, but that is also a neuro type situation that you can address.
Haven't done it in a while, but working with brachial plexus clients.
Mhm.
I mean, interestingly, like a lot of times people that might have like carpal tunnel, for example,
Mhm.
or like tennis elbow, we think of those as, typically like hand therapy, orthopedic
Mhm.
work cases, which you can see that. But I mean, really, that that median nerve like is inflamed, like in the idea of compressed, and the
Mhm.
idea of that carpal tunnel client. So I'm definitely not a hand therapist, but I have seen where utilizing like a more neural based approach has had like some good, kind of benefits there. And again, I think cognition is oftentimes kind of forgotten that it's a neurological issue.
Mhm.
So, various reasons, but it could be encephalitis, it could be, dementia, mild TBI, which the motor function appears fine, but there's high level executive function issues going on.
Mhm.
Um, that work is under recognized, and I think that work is under recognized like with OTs.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would say those areas.
I got it. Well, my favorite thing about occupational therapy is the fact that you guys always help with the tasks that I think are so important for people to be able to do. Because a lot of us don't realize reaching behind our back is something you have to do in ADL. Being able to push up, stand up, take your foot over a tub shower combination,
Hmm.
use a possibly a shower chair, the one that comes out of the tub,
Yep.
or the one that's in the tub. The reachers that all my patients seem to have, that's their favorite tool. Um, you don't have to reach up and get paper towels or reach somewhere else and get their shoe that's too far away. But all of those things, but especially the cognition part, because there's so many people who can't sequence. And so
Yeah.
that's when I got really interested in OT from the standpoint of working with people who had neuro related issues and their sequencing was just off.
Hmm.
But the ability of the occupational therapist to say, okay, well, this and this is that, and how we can work together to integrate those things so that that person's life was more meaningful for them, but also helpful for their family members. Because I think sometimes we don't realize that it's not just the person going through it; it's their whole family,
Ooh, that's
especially
another discussion
those
there.
in their immediate household. So yeah,
Oh, that's a big one there. Oh
hmm
man, that's a whole nother podcast episode.
that is true. It's true.
Uh,
So, excuse me. I appreciate you coming. I think it's really good that we talked about OT and PT because yes, we all get the question on what's the OT and what's the PT and what's the difference, And I hope that's been made clear to those of you who are watching. Tell us that a little bit about NeuroSuite and the insurances that you take,
hmm
so that people will be aware how they can connect with you.
Sure, sure. So yeah, so we accept Medicare, Maryland Medicaid, not the no MCOs at the moment, but just straight Maryland
Mhm.
Medicaid, Care First, and then Care First Medicare Advantage. So that will include like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Federal, and various like plans underneath Care First,
Mhm.
Aetna, Aetna Medicare Advantage, and I think that might be it as of now. We have several more insurances that, if all goes well, we will be credentialed with by the end of the year.
Mhm.
To include TRICARE, to include Cigna, and I believe DC Medicaid. But yeah, we're in a network with quite a few. But then in 2026, we'll be a network with quite a few more,
Okay.
including like a lot of Medicaid MCOs. I know that with the current climate like of healthcare and these dwindling insurance payments and reimbursement, it's a problem. And there's an exodus in interest in clinicians utilizing more the private pay model. And I
Mhm.
fully understand that because I mean it's yeah, it's
Do
it's
you
not
accept
fair.
private pay?
We do, yeah, we do too.
Okay.
But just to put that in context, we're going to like really kind of settle a little contrarian again. Sometimes I can be contrarian, but we're gonna kind of settle in this insurance space, and that we know that clients still want to use their insurance, and it is unfortunate of the dwindling payments. But because of the clients that we serve, we know that stroke survivors, there's a connection there with socioeconomic status, and we know that those people might want to use insurance. So
Mhm.
yeah, all that to say, more panels on the way. So stay checked into our website.
Sounds good. Well, I thank you. And if you are interested in Neuro Suite, the information to contact Dr. Gaskins is on the screen. Again, that's the welcome team at Rehab. And if you ever need physical therapy and you're in the DC, the Maryland, or Virginia area, LimbsNThings.com, you can give us a call at 202-643-2636. All right. I thank you guys so much for joining us for Pull Up with Limbs and Things. And thank you, Dr. Gaskins, for your time. I think you got enough time to make your Gamecock game.
Yeah, I do.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great night. And thank you for joining us for September's Pull Up with Limbs and Things. Take care.
All right, bye everyone. Thank you.